Connor and Luke are here. Do we still, I don't know what we do.
Last meeting, what said is that you were gonna offer suggestions for changes.
Not me.
to it. Whoever said it, I can't
Yeah.
remember, it was Kim minute,
Yeah.
and then vote on it at the first August meeting.
Okay, we're live,
Make any
guys.
change- make any changes.
Just waiting for 6:30. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order and thank everyone for coming tonight. Stand and as we've been, a moment of silence for all the unnecessary violence and people that are affected by it in this country and a prayer to end this war and have peace. Now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first thing on the work session is the West Falls Advisory Committee, and I don't see anybody here for that. You guys, at the last meeting made some suggestions or said you were gonna come with some suggestions. Was it Jim?
Some suggestions.
Did, for the,
You had mentioned some language in the, about business owners.
Well, yes. Yeah, let me, so, it had talked about, the fact that the purpose of the advisory committee was, I'll have to take a look at the exact language, but essentially what it was that it was, for the residents of the town, which primarily what it is, but also I wanted, I was hoping that there'd be some language in there about the businesses, the people that are, otherwise investing, in the community.
it's on the mission statement, right?
Right.
Were there any other suggestions for ideas from anyone else? No?
Right, it's in the mission statement.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
And I guess I would move to see if the board would like to vote and making those tentative changes and actually forming the committee tonight, or do you want to wait till someone's here that is representing their committee?
I'd be fine with moving forward with forming the committee. And I don't see that I think if we're going to add the word residents and business owners,
Yeah.
I doubt anybody's going to get too upset about that. If we want to get it done tonight, we can. If not, I'm fine either way.
How about you, Chuck?
Sure, I'm fine. I guess just have a question on the procedure. If there was a change afterwards, would we have to? Would we have to vote on approving the updated bylaws? We would? Yeah, okay.
We can make it, can we make it tentative, Martha? On them accepting the changes, or do we just vote on forming the committee tonight and then amending the bylaws at the next meeting? Right, and then we probably should, Jim, if you want to give me the exact terminology, we should probably.
Well, yeah, I think that's something we can talk about. I don't know that it has to necessarily be the business owner. It's a mission statement. But it was really just something I brought up. I don't think it's
Or just something after residents, Jim, just residents and businesses
Of West Falls.
of West Falls.
Make sure you put a West Falls, or West Falls region or something. Right.
And yeah, there you go.
Expand
all right.
the opportunities, West Falls.
Everything
residents.
else looks
and
good
business.
on it? If everything else looks good and you we're all in agreements to move forward with it, we'll vote on it in the meeting. Good?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have the temporary use permit for Knox Park. And this is for Immaculate Conception School. For August 30th through October 28th. It's for evenings, I believe, soccer practice. And this has been, I believe, cleared. Is okay with this, the other soccer people, Arsenal's,
Back, but in the past, they've been doing this for years.
okay,
So that's been a conflict. But two, in terms of payment, last year, they paid $200 for all of the practices. Knew that practice or
it was 200 for everything. I'm fine with keeping it the same.
I'm fine.
Okay.
They haven't
Correct.
caused any damage in the past or anything. There hasn't been any issues.
no, yeah, they've been doing this for
The only thing we don't have that I don't see is the insurance.
Yep. But didn't know that. By he sent me the one for Knox Park as a. It's currently on vacation, that's why it's not here tonight.
And we'll just do it tentatively and in the motion, we should make sure we mention the fee. All right. Next, we have the building permit fees and Elizabeth Cassidy will explain.
Well. On the one form that says original, current and revised, we did some comparisons. We haven't changed absolutely everything. But the ones that made the most sense for us, we're suggesting these changes. I also, instead of the seeker fee, I did a site plan fee at the bottom, based upon the size of the development. And then additional engineering fees would be borne by the applicant if there was anything that came above those base fees. But that's about it.
So Liz, if I'm reading this correctly, if you applied the proposed fees to actual fees in 2021,
Mhm.
the increased revenue would amount to a little over $22,000. Is that correct?
Yep.
And the proposed software's cost will be $22,000. Is that,
For 1 year, it's 19,000 or 16,000 annually.
gotcha. So
Right,
those that are using the services of the building department will be paying the fee for the software that runs the building department as is intended. Is that correct?
correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Liz, so the fees that you were proposing, how did you determine?
We looked at a multitude of municipalities across Western New York, similar sized, both towns and villages. We looked at that. Kind of this is where we ended up. The site plan fees are almost verbatim for the town of Eden. I'm sorry, the town of Alden. But we looked at all sorts of neighboring towns.
I've got a couple of questions, Liz.
Yes, sir.
Under the solar energy systems, you've got $50 for the application fee, $10 a square foot. Is that for residential and commercial or
Yes,
all across the board?
all across the board. That fee was instituted by the town when we adopted the uniform permit for solar panels.
Okay. Okay. And you remove the special use permit fee? Is that because that's included in, what, I guess I'll let you speak on that.
So we had not been issuing actual special use permits. And it's a little bit confusing as far as the special use permit application fees. So Jen removed that from our
Okay.
list.
Okay. And that hopefully will tie into the building permit, maybe. Maybe.
Usually it does, or there
Yes.
is a site plan associated with it as well.
And that was my other could you explain, the site plan fees? Based on approved acres and so on, that's a new one for us.
Right.
So,
Well, we do have, we currently have a site plan fee, but it's based upon the cubital area of the project and the acreage disturbed. So it's not a straightforward calculation. So on one of them, I picked the recent site plan that we did for the Montessori school over at the barn on Davis Road, right? Her permit fee, her site plan fee was $525. Because the cubital area of the building was 10,000 square feet, and she's not doing much disturbance of land there. But my thought was that projects like that, a smaller fee would be beneficial to applicants, whereas the larger developments will have an increased cost.
well, and I'm glad you brought that up. Because at over 5 acres, which, I mean, I guess that's a larger lot, that's for sure. But as you say, not much of that land is probably getting disturbed with the site plan review. $1,000 is where you think is best. Is
It's up to you if you don't think it's best. And so the proposal is for areas of disturbed acreage.
areas of disturbed? Okay,
Right.
not certainly not a 5 acre lot that you're just simply putting a house on.
Right. So then you would look at, that would be the 0 to 1, really.
Okay,
If you're talking about, it's similarly with that Montessori school, it would have been 0 to 1 acres.
I got you.
So
Thanks.
a
Thank
more
you for-
modest fee
Thank you for
for smaller
clarifying that.
projects.
Okay,
Any other questions from the board?
I have a question. Down for the site plan fees where it says additional professional services.
Yep.
Do you think we could be a little more specific? Like maybe includes seeker review, traffic, including,
But not
These-
limited
but not
to
limited
seeker
to
review,
something more
traffic
specific.
study,
Yeah.
all of that. Yes, we can do that for
Okay.
sure.
Anything else for anyone? I'm not a big fan of raising fees, but it's a cost of doing business in today's day and age.
I think we
2017,
should. Well,
I'm sorry, Chuck. 2017 was the last time we increased our fees, and with the code proposal that you recently adopted for my office, we will be doing additional inspections on projects for concrete flat work and potentially additional energy code inspections as well. So it'll cover not only the software, but it'll also cover the operations of our office.
And these are really pretty modest increases compared to what the cost of construction has done in the past 2 years. So
Correct.
it's, if somebody's going to grumble about a building permit, they haven't seen their first lumber bill yet.
It's true. And I agree with you, Supervisor, about hesitancy to raise taxes. But I mean, this is about the fairest tax you can apply. It's being borne by those who utilize the service, not by the general public. So
Yeah.
My understanding in I forget what I had attended, but the building department should be a break-even concern. We shouldn't make or lose money on it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this makes sense.
And with this new software, proposed software, talking to Liz, the department's going to run much more efficient. To be able to do the work better and more efficiently. So it's cost of doing business. No one likes to see prices go up, but that's what it is. Okay, we'll put that on the agenda and then we'll go right into the next number 4, which is the building department software. And Liz, if you could just run through it real quick for us.
Sure. Jen had investigated several. I mean, there's a multitude of permitting software for our department operations out there, and she went through several of them, and we had narrowed it down to these 3 as kind of kind of the low range of our office rate operations to, the Cadillac version. Cloud Permit fits right in the middle of it, and it meets all of our needs with respect to the permitting process for scheduling and following up on all of our construction inspections, any complaints, and fire inspections. It also covers planning and zoning. So there's a module for that and the code enforcement side of things. So there's a public facing side. So, that'll take some getting used to from both our office and the folks outside of the office, but they anticipate that, within 3 to 6 months of onboarding the program that we'll see a great increase in the number of people submitting permits online, which we already take. We still have taken that since COVID. But this will facilitate the process, whereas before they just email us the application and then we have to input all the information in the system. It puts the onus on the applicant to put all their information in there so that it saves us time and allows us to focus on other things that are happening. But the cloud permit covers everything that we do in the office. Just trying to think. It allows for greater ease of our data that we can give to you or give to the village board with respect to our operations. It'll also allow us to track all of the information that we're required to report to New York State at the end of the year. Just as a comparison, when Jen was pulling the numbers for the permit fees, the what if we had done this a couple of years ago with changing the fees, she had to run a report that just gave us the list of all permits from that year and then go through manually and sort them and determine what the permit fees would have been. Whereas with this software, you can select any number of data fields that you have available and report on that. So I think we'll have greater efficiency in our permitting, code enforcement, follow-up, and all of our reporting capabilities.
Good. And the building module that would be the permit end of things. And what does that module cover along with the planning module? Is that kind of one and the same, or how does that?
There are 3 separate modules. One is for the building permit process. So the applicant would input all their information. They would submit all of their drawings. Insurance certificates have to be submitted if they're not online already. For the contractors, and they can't click submit on that application until all the required information is submitted. It tells them where it is in the review process, if there are any deficiencies, what they need to clear before we can approve it, and then eventually it'll tell them it's approved and what the permit fee is. It does have the capability to take payments online, but we're not at that point at this time. And then it will lay out all of the required inspections for whatever type of project it is. And then again, once we do those inspections, we can put our notes in there, whether it passes or fails and what deficiencies are there, instead of reinspection accordingly. They can also request inspections through the system. And then, as it reaches the completion, it'll be able to generate the certificates at the end of the project.
And then the planning mode module is.
Planning module and zoning module will be the similar thing. It's basically our forms get input into the system and they submit it all that way. But it also allows us to notify the public as to public hearings, when the next meeting is for those particular applications, and the outcome of the status on those applications through whatever board they're in front of.
In that preliminary process there, so you can scan these plans in, right, into your computer, but we may need a scanner or maybe UPS do it or something like that anyway, unless you already have the capacity to scan 24/36 plans.
I can't scan 24/36, but I can scan 11/17, and I'll tell you about 90% of the architects out there have their plans online. They're all digital.
Yeah.
Even the ones who draw them by hand they end up getting scanned because that's how they go to the printer. So, so we can make that a part of our process to require a digital copy. And it doesn't mean that folks who come into our office who don't have that capability can't still hand in their drawing and we can scan it in as long as we have that capability. Or we'll just call, if we get an architect plan, we just call them and say, hey, can you email me this plan? And we can do that.
And can you make notes on that plan and send it back, or put a cloud around whatever it might be, header beam, something like that, and say not gonna
Not in-
fly, or
Not in this system.
not in the
There
system?
are other systems of, there are software programs out there where you can do that, where you can utilize some tools that'll allow you to make notes on plans or to calculate, square footage and things like that, but not for this particular plan. What it would tell you is, it would tell you that if I saw on page 8.1 that there was a question on the footer or on the wall rebar, it would say, we need clarification from the architect
Right.
on these two things before we can approve. And they would get an email or they would get a text, I think email, that would tell them exactly what was deficient.
Nice.
And the cost. So tonight we're determining, is it the 22,000? Or is it I'm a little confused on,
So for the remainder of the year, it'll be prorated.
okay,
The 6,000 will be due for the implementation fee will be due at the end of implementation. It's estimated 4 to 7 weeks per module. And they roll it out one at a time. So it's not all at once. They'll do the building permit first and then we'll move into the other modules once those are complete. So once that full implementation is done, that 6,000 will be due. So that'll be later this year. It'll be prorated for the rest of this year. And I sent that email to Kathleen.
okay,
And
she's got, she's got
she have it on here?
14,277 would be the,
Correct.
And that would include that implementation fee, I'm assuming, 14,277.
Yes, she has that 6,000 implementation fee in there. So it's prorated at $8,276.71. If the town board were to go ahead with that tonight, that's what that prorated rate would be for the rest of this year. And then beginning calendar year of next year, it'll be 16,000 for the program. That 16,000, just to remind you, covers cloud hosting. We have unlimited data storage. It covers the software program and any updates that they make. It is a flat fee over this 5-year contract. So a couple of the other ones, there was a percentage increase every year. If you saw the other quotes, which is a common thing in software. But right now we have a flat fee over the next 5 years for this system. And our data is our own. We own it outright, and they can get it to us at any point in time if we want a copy of it stored on our server here or whatever. But it is our data. The only time that they will access it is if someone either in the public facing or on our side clicks the help button and they want to find out what exactly they were doing to need help on. But that will be covered under that $16,000 fee.
Do you have enough equipment, enough computers, laptops, so on, whatever else to make this work, especially with 3 of you there?
So we can put it on an unlimited number of devices. So it can be on all 3 of the desktops. It can be on both of the tablets. It can be on every cell phone. And we have all of that. Yep. So currently we're not asking for any other hardware.
Liz, you had said that the software allows you to take credit card payments, but we don't currently do that. What's the situation there that we're not taking credit card payments?
Historically we haven't.
Gotcha. So everybody brings in a check.
Cash or
Typically.
check.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Cash or check.
Cash or check. We would love to move into credit card payments, but at this point in time, I think it's not something that we're asking for at this point.
Anybody else?
Hey, quick question. The copy of the contract that's here
Mhm.
has the 22,000 on it. Do you have a revised one that Jim can sign?
I think Jen has a revised one. I'll have to check her email.
Okay.
If not, we'll get it tomorrow. If you vote.
All right. We'll put it on the agenda. Thanks, already on it. Yeah. All right, next we have the Erie County Legislature funding for the Senior Citizen Center, and legislator Joe Larigo has awarded the Aurora Senior Center $10,000 this year, and Donna probably wants to talk about that.
Only because I'm short. I'm really excited because that's the biggest award that we've gotten. Usually it's about 2,000, 2,500. So with that being said, we're looking at a new sound system for the center. We've always had just podiums and wires and all kinds of things. So I've been talking to actually Cinnamon Sound to get a quote, and I did look at other places. But I'm really excited because we'll be able to work wireless like these kind of systems and provide a lot more advanced technology. Let's put it that way. The other thing is some new tables. Most of our tables are 20 years old since we've been in the building. And so we're looking to replace those. I can't believe they've held up this long. So between the two of them, and I know it sounds funny to buy tables for like $800 and $900, but they're a good size and good quality. So that's what we're looking for. So I'm hoping I'm continuing to get some more quotes for everything. And hopefully by whenever we need those, we'll have everything ready.
Great. Christmas in July,
I
right?
know it's so exciting. It really is. I can't tell you because this is the largest they've given us. So, he's always been great to us, Joe Larigo. So that's wonderful.
That's
So,
great. Yeah. Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
All right, next we have a very generous donation from the Rotary Club, and I see Mr. Pat Shea is here. And did you want to say anything? Pat? You come up, so we need you to come to the mic though, so that the anyone that's listening could hear you. We do.
Please, you don't want that. Fortunately, we have a new president of our club this year whose kids use the pool. My days of sending kids to the pool are past, and he noted that there is no diving board. So the Rotary Club has decided to make an offer to the town that we would pay for the installation, the purchase. I don't know what's involved. I don't think the installation was part of the cost of a new diving board as soon as possible. So we won't be jumping into icebergs. So it would be.
Well, that's very nice.
So I think the price was $1,905.13. 16. Now, excuse me.
Don't shortchange us.
I don't balance my checkbook either. So
I guess my question to Chris would be, is there any installation cost to that? Chris?
Two bolts.
So it's
We
pretty,
already have the base, so it's there, the board that. Tomorrow. So, there you go.
perfect.
how do we then just send a payment to you guys, to Martha?
Yes.
Um,
What would be nice would be a photo.
oh, we want a photo.
Maybe even you could, maybe
Yes,
even
we
you could
want
be
a
in
photo.
it.
We want a large plaque put up, and
Well, that is a
actually, we
Kiwanis
could get
pool.
Rotary logos across the
No, wait a
board.
minute, that's a Kiwanis pool, all right?
Oh, well, we'll work on that.
But yeah, it would be nice to have, Chris and you,
Okay.
any of the board members want to be down there, whatever. It'd be
All right.
nice to get a photo of that. It's-
Our president wants to be the first one to jump off the board. So.
Can you do a triple Lindy?
I don't know. I'm lucky if I can do a triple of any.
With or without
Triple
water?
cone I could do, but not a dive.
But that's very nice. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Yes. When it comes in, Chris will organize, maybe we'll get Marty down there and. Okay, right, good. Thanks again.
you.
Okay, next, Next, this is just an engagement letter with a labor attorney. We already use Jeff Swiatek. And we're not saying we're not going to use them anymore, but this is another option or alternative, depending on the scenario that we need to use them for. And we got this recommendation from the village and Heather, her last name there. Anyway, we interviewed her at Giambra, and she was very good. And just one of the, Jeff was very good attorney. Just one of the issues sometimes is response time. And or in the village, she gets right back to you. And there's times when it's time sensitive, when we need an answer right away. And her prices are a lot better. So I would just, I would say that the board has an option of who we want to use at the particular time. And all we are doing is asking supervisor to sign a letter of intent that if we do use them, this is what they charge.
And that would be at the time of use, so if we have a labor issue that we're looking into, then they would be sort of waiting.
Well, we could use either one. And I would always refer to the board, this is pretty serious. You want to, Jeff has a lot of history here, or this isn't that big of a deal. Maybe we use somebody else. It's just an option. What do you guys think?
Do we need this process in order to use a law firm? We have to have this pre-established in order to just haven't dealt with this
Yeah, we're
before.
not
So,
signing any kind of a contract. It's just an agreement of if we use them, that's their fee.
so it's not a requirement of the board. It's just, hey, here are my fees. And if you do use me, I've committed to this fee structure. That's really all we have.
Exactly.
Okay.
You might not ever, or a lot of times, myself, Kathleen, Martha, we need an answer like right away on a personnel issue or something. And I just couldn't get it sometimes. And it'd be nice to have somewhat of a backup, I guess. It's good.
Yeah, I don't see it. It doesn't appear to be a drawback. We're not committing to anything. So
No. Okay. Right. Number 8 is the pool restroom bid. Jeff, do you want to go over this? Or- Okay. This is prepared by Botany's Foltz, Albert and Ernst. And they're going to be putting the bids out, right? I don't know what. Paul, do you have anything you want to go over on it or any? Martha? Anything? We just have to, okay,
Set the bid opening.
set the bidding, set the date.
Yep.
Is that in here?
That's right on the first page.
That August 5th?
No, August 23rd, 11 a.m. It's down at the bottom.
Okay. So August 5th is when they're due, or is that?
No,
when we're
August
putting it?
5th is a walkthrough.
So would we do a motion just to set the bid time or
Yeah.
to walk through?
Set the bid opening.
Okay.
So,
All right. You want to go with that?
Yep.
Okay. And this is a permit. New York State, DOT. And this is for the West Falls sign out on 240. And we have to authorize the supervisor to sign this, and it goes through all the detail of giving us permit to erect that sign just past Bame Road on 240. Finally getting around to doing that.
excellent.
I don't know what to do with the code red without Luke being here.
Well, I don't think that my understanding was we were going to hope that since we're the initiators, we were hoping the village was going to sign it. and they didn't get on their agenda.
You still haven't authorized it to go to the village.
Oh, that
for
would explain
signing.
why it wasn't on their agenda.
Yes,
Yeah.
So we have to authorize to send it to,
authorize sending it to them. Yes.
is that both the agreement and the intermunicipal agreement and the on-solve agreement? They both have to be sent to,
I believe the on-sale agreement is referenced in the intermunicipal agreement, so it would go with it.
well, then we'll vote to send it to the village tonight. How's that?
No.
We'll
You
have to add
You
that.
have to add it.
So we'll be adding. And. And that's all I have. Anybody have anything before we go into the regular meeting? Nothing to do now. All right, then we will start the regular meeting. We have no public hearings tonight. I need a motion to approve the July 11th, 2022 work session and board meeting minutes. Motion by Jim. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Next, we have audience. An opportunity to talk about any of the items on the agenda. Not everyone up for, no, okay. All right. We have no unfinished business, so we'll go right into new business. And first thing we do is we have to add N, which is a referral to the village. So I have a motion to add N, refer the code red to the village.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Joe, second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. All right, we just discussed West Falls Advisory Committee. I think we just decided that we would vote on forming the committee. At this time, we won't change any verbiage until next meeting where we can talk to them. So do I have a motion to form the West Falls Advisory Committee? Motion by Jim,
I'll second.
second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Next, we have the temporary use permit at Knox Park. And this is for the Immaculate Conception School, August 30th to October 28th. So I need a motion to approve the application for temporary permit with Immaculate Conception at a cost of $200 for that range of dates, contingent upon receiving insurance certificate.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, we have the building permit fees. I need a motion to accept the building permit fees as listed. And these are fees that we don't. Do we look at these every year, or we haven't really looked at them every year? So it's just going to be the new. So this will be our new fee structure until we amend it again if we ever have to. So I have a motion to approve the building permit fees as listed
I'll make that motion.
by Chuck. We have a second, second by Jim. Any discussion?
Quick discussion, when would these go into effect? Immediately or in 6 days?
Immediately unless you specify.
Are you good with that? Or do you need time? We would,
Yeah.
we just have to make that an emotion then, or, yeah, it's okay.
Good question.
So we'll amend the motion that to approve these building permits as listed to start on August 1st, 2022. And we had a,
I'm gonna move to amend my motion to include the start date, acceptance of these fees for the start date of August 1st of this year.
and who seconded that, Chuck?
Yeah, I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Thanks, Liz, to you and your department for putting this all together.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Now we move down to the software. D. I need a motion to approve the purchase of the software from Cloud Point Permit. Is it Cloud Permit? Cloud Permit. For the fees, again, is that 14? Is that going to be our cost, Liz? I'm still confused on what we're going to spend this year, not next year. Is that the 14,277?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. So the motion would say, approve the software and expenditure for 2022, the amount of $14,277.
So moved.
Motion by Joe,
I'll second.
second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that is carried. You're in business, Liz.
Very much.
Thank you. Okay, so this is a request from Kathleen Moffett, and this is in regards to the budget amendment for the building department software. She requests that we take the funds from the current contingency, which has a balance of 30,949. And she needs to decrease a 1990 contingent account by 14,277 and increase appropriation line a 1680.401 central data processing by 14,277. Do I have a motion to approve?
So I'll second.
Motion by Jim, second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Next, we have the Erie County legislator funding of $10,000 for the senior center. Do I have a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the contract with Erie County to receive the $10,000?
So moved. Second.
Chuck and Joe, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and it is carried. It's really fun when we only have 3 people there. Next, we have the donation from the Rotary Club for a new diving board in the amount of $1,905.16. Do I have a motion to accept that generous offer? Motion by Jim,
I'll second.
second by Chuck. Any discussion?
Hey, Pat, please extend our appreciation to the entire Rotary Club. This is a very, very good service.
Thanks. Any other?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, we have the proposal from Heather Yambra, from Schroeder Joseph and Associates. And this is just a letter of intent giving us the her rates. Martha, I don't see the signature page. Is there?
It wasn't copied.
Okay, so we need the motion to authorize the supervisor to recognize that if we do use this law firm, these are the rates that we will be paying. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck, a second,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that is carried. Next, we have the pool restroom bids, and they need a motion to set the bid openings at the town of Aurora at 11 a.m., August 23rd, 2022. We have a motion. Motion by Jim,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that is carried. Next, the New York State DOT permit for the West Falls sign. I need a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign this permit, allowing us to erect the West Falls sign on Route 240 near Bam Road.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that is carried. Next, we have budget transfer for highway. For unexpected overtime due to medical leave of a part-time officer. I need a motion to approve the budget transfer as listed. Motion by Jim. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Chuck. Any discussion?
Dave, if you could just real brief, so you had somebody go out and then how do we end up having to move money around? I don't follow that.
Yeah, our part-time dog catcher had heart trouble,
Why?
and he was out for about 2 months, so we don't plan on that, so we had to use the full-time dog catcher on call.
Gotcha.
To cover.
So those are two different line items, a part-time guy and the full-time guy.
Yeah,
All right, that's all.
just unexpected.
Gotcha.
It's-
Thank you.
He is back though, so.
Oh, good, good.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, we have a budget amendment for the senior center, the CDBG funds that we received for door replacements and touchless faucets, right? This is from Kathleen Moffett. It needs to increase the revenue line A 4910 Community Development Act by 27,601 and increase the appropriation line A 1620.423 contractual maintenance by 27,601. I have a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck,
Second.
second by
Joe.
Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, it's budget time again. So we need to approve the budget calendar. And I have a motion to approve the dates of our budget, which will be online, right? Correct, Martha? Will be online, all the dates. We have a motion to approve our budget calendar for 2023.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, we have N, which is the referral of our intermunicipal agreement and the unsolved agreement for Code Red. I need a motion to refer this to the village to get their blessings on it. There a motion?
I'll make that one.
Motion by Jim,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Communication and reports. We have the Senior Center, June 2022 report, Town Clerk Tax, May and June 2022 reports. Town Clerk Water, April, adjusted May and June 2022 reports. Recreation, Building, and East Aurora Police Department, June 2022 reports, and we have the New York State Agricultural Markets, DCO, and Shelter Inspection reports for dog control. Next, we'll go to business from the board members. I'll start with Chuck.
Thank you, Jim. Last week, Dave Gunner and myself met with Mark Gaston and Karen Hope. She's the Deputy Commissioner of highways. Out at the potential site for the boat launch and, studied the bridge and the effects of the placement of the rock and what effect that may have on the bridge, and just kind of brainstorm some ideas of what we were thinking at this point in time. There's still some T's to cross and some I's to dot before it flies, but I got a much better grasp of what is happening out there. And as Councilman McCann and I were talking earlier, it would be great at some point in time in the not too distant future to get a few stakes out there so that everybody knows where those boundaries are, and they could see just what could happen out there. So, but that was that.
Hey, Jim?
I wasn't gonna have anything to report, but I'd say thank you for going out there and doing that. I did talk to friends, family, and actually some people I know that like to kayak and canoe. And I know there was a discussion from one of the residents who had was able to count how many people were utilizing on any particular day of the year. And when I talked to some of the residents, they had suggested to me that there wasn't really another legal place to launch, and they didn't feel comfortable going over to the Legion. So I think that maybe is an answer into itself right there, that this is something that is needed and something that's wanted, and there's the people that want to follow and respect the law and follow and respect what we're doing. So, time to time. So thank you for doing that. I think that could be an asset.
Go.
At your request, I attended the consolidation meeting for Erie County. I understand it's a program that's going on for quite a while, so you're probably very familiar with it. Essentially, if you can find a way to share services with a neighboring community or communities, I think they match your first year savings is the way I understood it. You've obviously been through this before. I don't know how much more opportunities we have.
They always, their state funding, no one has ever seen it, I don't think.
It's never actually appeared. They did. It was interesting. They did talk about shared human resources, or not human resource, health insurance for the employees. There's a threshold. I know Eden doesn't meet it, so I'm assuming we don't meet it either. You have to have a number of employees in order to participate in that program.
If you look at, and I think we have a history of sharing, look at the village and town,
Yeah.
same building. Dave with sharing services with other highway departments. He helped West Seneca out, Dave. And they're paid. So
Yeah.
we do it, and as much as we can. I just don't know where.
Yeah, it has to be brand new. It has to be something you never did before. There was a lot of ifs, ands, and
If it
whatever.
makes
so-
sense, and it's a savings to the taxpayer, then we should do it.
Exactly, but there wasn't any like big neon light saying, here's the opportunity, but it's, as you know, it's there. I went to the meeting and
Thank you for attending.
yeah, that's, no problem whatsoever. I was definitely the new guy. Nobody wants to talk to the new guy. Just sit there and don't ask questions, new guy. But it was informative, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to go.
Appreciate that. I only have one thing tonight. And I just want to wish Jim Granville a happy birthday. And his birthday was the 24th, and Joe had offered to sing happy birthday.
Yes.
I did, but I couldn't get the Maryland road dress in time, so we are out of luck.
So
That would have been your gift.
okay, next, we have anybody in the audience that, yes, sir. Step on up.
You know, best materials go to waste.
We have a pretty big audience tonight, so I'm going to have to limit you.
30 minutes sufficient.
I'll be here for 5 of those.
No, just a curiosity question regarding the software. Is that going to be applicable to the village also, Liz? Things like this, do you folks consider sharing the cost? Not that it matters to me, I live in the village, so it's coming on my left pocket or right pocket, but do you look at things like that for other things that are of mutual benefit?
we also take in the revenue from the building permits. It doesn't go to the village, even if it's built in the village.
okay.
So I think it was probably about 25 years ago that I think the town took over the village building department. And that was a shared service and made it one department. Anything to add to that?
No, 2004 is when that
Was it
agreement came
2004?
into effect and, yep.
That's it. Thank you. I'll yield my other 25 minutes. And Joe to sing happy birthday.
That passed.
Anybody else? Pat, come on up. We need your full name, address, phone number, shoe size.
Just an observation, but a question regarding the fees that you were charging for using the soccer fields at Knox. How do you assess a $200 fee? I mean, my understanding of what a fee should be would be what are the additional costs or the administrative costs for issuing the permit. I know the village fee schedule by heart, but $200, I'm kind of wondering what's your additional cost that justifies taking in $200? A fee is not supposed to make the town money. It's supposed to cover the additional costs, public notice, other items like that when it comes to granting a fee, charging a fee for a special use. So where does $200 come
I think
to?
Yeah, Pat, what it is it's $200 to use the fee for any event, but in this particular case, they need to use it for months. So that would cost an unbelievable amount of money. So the board at the time felt it was fair, just a one flat fee.
Oh,
for
I
that.
understand.
So
the
it's
fee, but-
200 for any,
For what?
any organization that rents. the field.
But how do you arrive at $200? What is do you cut the lawn in one more time?
Yeah, so-
Do you have to do something additional in a parking lot? Well, what's the added expense that's not already in the town's budget?
Yeah, it's a good question. And actually, Liz mentioned today, we got to sit with Chris. And what's happened is when we first took over Knox, and I think that was in 2012 or something like that, it was originally just the arsenals. And we came up with a fee. We actually did a study of what it would cost to mow it and to maintain that field. And at that time, it was $8,000. I believe we still charge $8,000, even with the inflation, because since we took it over every year, more and more organizations keep coming forward and keep growing those fields to where we are outdated with our fees. There's ones like the rugby, they ended up just to be Honorable brought back a big donation because they realized it cost us quite a bit more than the $200 fee. We ended up with a dumpster load of garbage out there. So we are starting to look at every event we do, and we do need to come up with a better fee structure. So we haven't, just because it's all new.
And I get all of, I guess I get to the point of how much a fee is a tax. Okay, it's just called a fee. And so you're charging people to use public facilities that are paid for by the general tax revenue. Now, I realize it's different over at because of the arrangement with the state for using those fields and everything. But I just in my head when hearing that was, so rugby is playing or Immaculate's using the field. What's the additional cost? Marginal? How do you arrive at a $200 fee? The village charges $75. I still, in my mind, can't even imagine what $75 additional costs would be. That's what a fee should be covering. And I understand that you have a schedule of them, but it should be a justifiable schedule of fees. That's just my take on fees. Anything else?
Trouble with us, so it's real hard because every event we have to look at, like the Brewski, we have to provide crossing guards. For Borderlands, we have an unbelievable amount of barricades and different things.
And that's justified.
That's what-
You're incurring.
So the board comes to me and asks me what I think the costs will be, and we are starting to get to that point. But
an added cost such as crossing guards or something for an event like that should be something itemized as an additional an additional cost that the
Are you
taxpayers
saying
should
that
be.
the village only
sensible of.
charges $75 for a whole season of whatever plays there?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
I
Well,
gotcha. Because it's based upon the additional cost that comes with providing what is a public service. Maintaining a park is a public service. It's a benefit to everybody in the community, not just the specific user. That's how I always looked at a fee, would be to take care of what extra cross guards or extra security, et cetera, should be covered by the user.
Well, I think we are meeting to do that, Jim. I just hadn't told
I
you.
think
We
what he's
actually
getting
talked
at
about
is,
today.
you have your regular maintenance that you do down there. But
Yes.
when there's a event, sometimes there's additional things that have to be done, such as the garbage,
Yeah.
such as the cleanup, such as fixing the fence when they back into it and all that other stuff, when they get stuck. So there's additional,
But if I hit the fence,
you go to jail.
well, do I get charged to repair it? Or is that just a normal cost of doing business?
Number one, we don't see the fence after
Well,
until the next day. So,
I'm never going that far out.
but if it does happen, we know where to go.
Well, you know where I
I
live.
think it's just a unique situation, but you're.
Well, it
you need
is.
to look.
It is, but it isn't. That's I mean,
It's tough to put a number on all of it. So we try to be as fair as we can.
Trying to estimate that accurately at the end of the year, just exactly how many times did you stripe it? How much lime did you, what was the cost of the line? What's the price of gas to cut the
Well,
grass?
so is
But
it
isn't
fair to
isn't
charge?
that a public
artisans to
service?
mow the
That's
grass?
part of
Catholic school.
operating.
If it has to be done
Well,
additional.
that's what keeps our taxes low.
Yeah.
That's what keeps our
That-
taxes
that's what
low, Pat.
fee is a tax.
That's what you're missing, Pat, is because of these things, the Catholic school is contributing to mowing the lawn. Because of that, it's kept the arsenals from having price increases. Okay, that's what this has done.
Yeah, I think-
So technically, are you saying that you like the Catholic kids not to get charged to use it? I mean,
No, what I'm saying is the department should show what the incremental cost is related to the Catholic school using the fee. If you're charging $8,000 to the arsenals to cut the lawn.
then it would be a lot more than $200.
Yeah, but Dave,
But then that should be in your budget.
I think the question might be, is there additional wear and tear to the field that has to be for any group that uses it on a regular basis? Like we utilized, when I was coaching at an active, we utilized the field there. And we used it for about 10 weeks. And I don't know that much, I don't know anything about.
We didn't charge them. We just started last year. For years, they went there for
Yeah,
free.
I think.
And it
maybe
was
the
the
point
arsenals
is
felt-
Is there additional wear and tear because of additional use?
They should cover the additional. cost.
Yes,
Well,
especially at fall league.
How do you calculate
And
it?
I think that's
That-
what the question.
Well,
Right.
you've already come up that it's $8,000 a year to cut the lawn.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
So, and as Dave said, that fee has stayed the same. And more entities are using the fields.
Right, but
So the town isn't, we're charging the entities that use the fields for the cost of using the fields, the same as we're charging those who use the building department, the cost of running a building department. So we're not making money on this. I'm sure we're not.
No,
Right,
and
but
we
it's
set these
not just-
fees before the event. So I mean,
I
we're
guess-
anticipating rugby is a perfect
we didn't
example.
expect it.
We set that fee and at the end of it, it was a lot more than what
And they were
And-
generous.
the expenses incurred.
I understand your point, but
Yeah.
a building department is set up for the benefit of everybody who lives in the town to ensure a safe environment. There's a benefit to having that. So I benefit by the building department,
yeah.
making sure that water runoff is taken care of appropriately, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a bugaboo of mine after being in government as long as I have, that we charge people to do stuff that we want them to do. So, and I already pay, and you pay tax to cover those costs.
Yeah, and you can go out there and fly a kite anytime you want. If you're not doing an organized activity, make use of the fields if nobody else using them. But if they're going to reserve them and say, hey, there are fields for a set period of time,
And that's.
then it makes sense to have a fee.
And I think that I presume too that before the decision was made to enter into agreements to use Knox, we had to figure out how much it's gonna cost the town actually to do that.
And I understand that, but you take that on this is a debate for, over a couple of
I
beers,
don't have
but
an answer for it, but I
Right.
think that would go to the calculation, because it'd be wonderful to have parks throughout the entire town with hundreds of thousands of acres, but I think you have to consider how big a staff we have and how much we're gonna utilize to repair machines, to buy gas for the machine. And I think that's what maybe went into the calculation, and now we're spreading.
I understand the calculation. I just don't understand the fee structure, but okay, and for my next song, never.
Ken said he's gonna buy drinks afterwards on my birthday. Sunday we can discuss it.
He did say he was gonna buy a beer. I heard him say that.
Great.
Anybody else? Okay. We'll go to staff reports. I'm gonna go right over to Paul. Nothing? Brad? Nothing? Donna? Nothing? Chris? Dave?
Crazy, but I don't.
Liz? Oh. We need a motion to approve the abstract.
So moved.
Motion by Joe,
Second.
second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Joe,
Okay.
second by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?